investors.
I am here with the Property Challenge podcast.
I teach investors all around the world how to become real estate investors and
How to overcome their challenges. Join me here every single week. PCP, the Property Challenge podcast.
when I started this podcast and when I said, what am I going to talk about? I said the best name is
The Property Challenge.
Hey investors, welcome to another episode of the Property Challenge podcast where you learn all things real estate, but not just real estate. We talk about spiritual warfare. We talk about building teams. There's a whole list of things that we talk about on this podcast. But the most important thing that we want you to leave with is that ownership is your birthright and that you deserve it no matter how hard it may be. So do me a favor right now. If you've been liking these episodes, click the subscribe button, like it, and then share with 3 people that you believe this episode will bless them with. Now, guys, I am here today with a special guest. Most people know her as my mini-me. My children knows her as the substitute mom, the substitute teacher mom. But me, I know her as my sweet, kind, beautiful, gentle princess. Can y'all help me welcome Atteya Danae to the Property Challenge podcast?
Hey guys.
Oh, I'm so excited you are here. Are you nervous about what I'm going to ask you about?
A little, because every time we have podcasts, every time you interview me, I never know what to expect.
You never know what to expect. So guys, just so you know, this is unrehearsed. It is as raw as you're going to get, okay? So whatever you hear here is just going to be what it is, right? So just have grace for us, love us, but just also take notes away from this, learn from our lessons, and continue to grow. So Taya, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us how old you are. Just give us a life update.
Yes, so I am 20. I keep wanting to say I'm 19, but I'm 20. I'm a podcaster. I'm a realtor. I do wholesaling. I work for the company. And yeah, I recently just got in a relationship, so I'm currently navigating being in a relationship. And also, I feel like God has been teaching me, surrender and all of these things. I have dealt very badly with anxiety. And so I feel like I've been being pruned on that through all of these different things I'm doing.
Wow. And so when you talk about anxiety, right, and obviously there's a lot that takes place in our life, okay? For the most part, I think I would say me and you are like 2 of the highest achievers in the house, not financially, just mental wise, right? Like we always feel like we have this dog on our back that, we don't want to struggle and we don't want to, have to go through these hardships like we see everybody else going through. And I remember you looking at me not even too long ago and you was like crying. And I'm like, Atteya, what is wrong? And you was like, I'm just not where I want to be at in life. And I'm like, what? Girl, you are so successful. Like you own a real estate portfolio. You're absolutely gorgeous. You're in love with God. You follow God's word. You pick up your cross. And I mean, most people that's 20 years old, even 40 or 50 years old, don't have 5-6 figures in their bank account. And you're doing all of that on your own by consistently showing up and working hard. And I think a lot of times people get the misconception that because I'm your mom, I just help you and I just give you everything. Like, do you feel like that? Do you feel like I just give you all the deals and all the opportunities? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
No, I was actually just thinking about this the other day. I don't think I'm the last person, but I think whenever I first started, I thought it would be that way, but I feel like I had to work my way up there. So I definitely disagree with that. I think once I put in the effort and prove that I can do it, then you're like, okay, here you go. Yeah. But you definitely treat me like you treat all your other realtors and clients. You don't treat me special because I'm your daughter.
I think I'm actually harder, huh?
Yeah, and sometimes I have to remind myself that, this is my boss, this isn't my mom, in this instinct, and I have been learning that and just being pruned on that, because sometimes it can be hard to be like, Mom, you're not supposed to talk to me like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And make sure you pull your mic up so they can hear all them nuggets you're dropping too, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was very intentional, like with raising my children. Like my children growing up, they did not have like Jordans and all of these things. Like other than that one time I was homeless up under the bridge with my son, Tyreek, like he had on a pair of Jordans and I had on a pair of Jordans. But I realized at 17 years old how stupid that was. Like, I'm homeless, but yet I got on a pair of shoes that can pay for some sort of rent somewhere. And so me and my husband, we really just made the decision that we didn't want to spoil our children. But how many parents out there feels like, yo, I don't want my children to go through what I've been through, so I need to protect them. And I think that's what me and Atteya has kind of like, kind of moved through in life together, is how do I pull back the rails and then how do I allow it full force? Because I don't want you to struggle. Yeah. I don't want you to eat off of paper plates. I want you to have the gold spoons. I want you to have the silver spoons. I want you to have the trust. I want you to have all of those things. But most importantly, I want you to know how to go to God with your battles when you're struggling and when you're burnt out and when you feel like you can't go anymore, And so I think a lot of the times people just naturally assume that you're just so perfect. Mm-hmm. And you hate that.
Yeah, I do hate that.
Talk about it.
Yeah, so I feel like it's an assumption, because I guess like I don't necessarily like struggle in ways that most people struggle. Like I always say that like I learn from other people's mistakes. So just because I'm struggling doesn't mean I'm gonna sit here and be like, hey guys, so right now I'm not gonna like portray that. Like, of course, like I walk through things. And I feel like in a different way, like especially like being in a relationship with someone one-on-one, like God has truly like been pruning me on that. And I have learned that like I never thought I was perfect, but I'm like, I am like this high and mighty person, and like I don't have any problems. And so it's like whenever you get in a relationship with someone who actually calls you out, they're like, no, Tay, like that's not right, or you need to work on this, then it's like a big self-reflection moment. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm not perfect. Like I struggle with self-control or, gentleness and like all these things just as you struggle with them. And just because I don't struggle with them in the same way doesn't mean I'm not struggling. Like just because I don't struggle with depression doesn't mean I'm not struggling. I struggle with anxiety, and that is different because I'm not like suicidal, but I still get like very anxious. I get very overwhelmed, and sometimes it just looks like me breaking down when someone asks me the wrong question or like talks to me in the wrong way. So, yeah.
And so with that, like you said, you've been really maneuvering, through this relationship. And so has your family. I have this very vivid memory of your boyfriend walking in the house, and we were all sitting on the sofa, and he said, ah. And I remember looking like, what is wrong with you? She just didn't acknowledge me when I walked through the door. And then I looked over at Tay, and I said, my God, this girl has grown. Because normally Atteya would turn around and look at him and say, get over it. But she didn't. She even chose her words wisely, got up off the sofa and went and acknowledged him, right? And that was the right thing to do. He was like, I just drove the hour and you don't even acknowledge me when you walk through the door. And it's like, you constantly seek counsel. You like, Mom, like, was I wrong? Like, how could I have done that better? And I'm like, well, you're supposed to grace your spouse when they walk through the door, right? Like, if that's their love language, then do it. My love language is not gracing me at the door talking about give me a kiss. My love language is let me walk in a house and smell Clorox and Pine Sol and candles burning, and I just feel so loved. And I think just learning how to operate in those love languages and making sure that you're focused not on your love language, but on their love language, then you'll be able to communicate that type of love. But we always told our children this. We said, hey, look, we don't believe in dating. Like, that's not in the Bible. I'm going to date you, right? You're going to be intentional with this special friend until y'all ready to get married. And the reason why we did that was because we understood that time plus place equals opportunity for sin, and that our children are a gift from God, and that when they are handed over to their helpmate, to their husband, to their spouse, then we want them in the fullness of what God has brought them through. And so I think that, as your mom, I'm learning, I have adult children now, right? And one of the things that I do love about you is that you still respect and honor your parents. Like, you care if you disappoint us. Last night you came, not last night, 2 nights ago, you came in after your curfew. Normally I would be like, hey, you should have picked up the phone and called me. It's after midnight. The doors lock at midnight. How many parents out there like that? The doors lock at midnight, right? But God humbled me at that moment because he said, when does she do this? Do you trust what she's out there doing right now? And the answer to that was, she never does this. No offense, right? But you pretty uptight. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I don't like to do anything past.
Yeah.
I don't like to be out late. I'm an early bird.
Yeah, like I'm so used to you being home and in bed, like comfortable, bonnet on, 8, 9 o'clock, right? And so I thought, my God, she's finally having fun, letting her hair down and enjoying it. And you know what they were doing? They were standing outside of Outbacks reading Bible scriptures to the people walking by. I'm like, I can't even make this up. First of all, y'all, I wish I was that good when I was her age, okay? When I was her age, I was chasing boys, bed. I didn't know how to keep my skirt down. Nobody told me to keep the skirt down. I was just completely involved in all of that. But one of the things that happened to me in 2024, if I'm being transparent with you guys, it really took a blow on me. Like, it really, really hurted me to know that my son was doing some of the most craziest things in the world. And when I seen him, he was only 85 pounds, and my heart grieved. And so I would sit on the sofa every single morning. I would have my Bible. I would have my worship music playing. Shout out to Mark Gotteraz, who wrote I Trust in God, because in that season, I had to trust in God. I didn't want to be in real estate no more. I didn't want to be y'all coaches anymore. I didn't want to even breathe. Like, it got to the point where I was so depressed in 2024. Y'all, this is recent. I was so depressed that I could not understand why this was taking place and why my son had to go through it. And as parents, we start questioning ourselves, like, what could I have done different? When was I not paying attention? How did this get up under my radar? What can I do to save him? And I remember just being in that very dark, dark place. And you came and you shared a word with me. You want to say what you told me?
Yeah. So during that time, I don't think you shared exactly like all the time what was going on. But I mean, I just had this realization. I'm like, Mom, like, you got other kids, and like, just because like he's on the deep end or doing any of these things doesn't mean it's like your fault. And I think as parents, a lot of parents have this thing of, it's like, you did your best to raise us in the perfect way so we wouldn't go towards those things. But like God, he's a God of free will, and we're free will, we're human, so we get to make our own decisions. And like Adam and Eve had the most perfect father. I remember telling you that, and like they still sin. So like, can
you just say that again? You can't just go over that part like that, because really that's what picked me up off that sofa when you told me that. Like, say that part again.
Adam and Eve had the most perfect father, the most high God, and they still sinned. So if they sinned against God, the most perfect father who didn't do anything wrong, who loved them equally, who treated them equally, then, I mean, you can't blame yourself for one kid out of the 3 going astray.
Yeah. And so that was a big thing for me when she said that, because I never looked at it from that perspective. And the fact that I have my daughter that's coming to minister to me. One of the fun facts, I don't know if you guys read your Bible. If you don't, you definitely should. But it was whenever Daniel had to go through this fast, right? He needed to seek God to be able to answer and respond to the king's message. And one of the things that I recognized during that Daniel season was that Daniel wasn't just by himself. He had some friends. And the thing that really surprised me was Daniel was nowhere around when the king called Daniel friends. And when he called his friends and offered them all of the food that they can eat and all of the riches, the wealth, the women, everything, they said no. They turned down their plates even while Daniel was not there. And so for me, that's the type of relationship that I have with my daughters, is that when I need to turn my plate down, they're going to turn their plate down with me. I don't have to be in their presence. But when you teach your children how to pray, and when you teach your children how to carry their cross and walk towards God, then when you're at your lowest moment, they can pause, take a break, and come back and pick you up. And so I had so many real estate deals that I was just not interested in. I could not put my head into it because all I could think about was that lost child, that prodigal son who has went and swindled all of his belongings, and now he has nothing. He is now eating and serving with the peasants of the pigs. And I'm like, but why? Mm-hmm. But why, And so you giving me that revelation was just such a great revelation. But I think one of the most beautiful things, Atteya, I know one of the most beautiful things that I do love about you is that you've been a sponge your whole entire life. You have paid attention and absorbed everything, whether it was good or bad. You're like, oh, that's bad. I'm not doing it. Yeah. I remember when you came running downstairs because Layla and her cousin had pulled up a video on the phone, and it was called Barbie's Gone Wild. Baby, I ain't never seen that girl run so fast in her life. She couldn't wait to come downstairs and tell me about Barbie's Gone Wild. And let me tell you something. Barbies really did go wild, okay? And so just always being that leader, always being that pioneer for Jesus Christ, unapologetic about your love for him. And even as beautiful as you are, saying no to the men that throw themselves at you because obviously they see that you are a jewel, right? Mm-hmm. Like, talk through that. Like, how do you handle that? Because, yeah, we got free will, but it ain't free.
Yeah. I think for me, like, a big thing for me was, one, I had to be pruned on this, but two, it was like always like going the right way, I guess. Because it's like y'all tried, and we would always hear stories from like y'all's childhood. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. And it's like, okay, so how do I have a good life? And it's like, okay, through Jesus. And it's obviously easier said than done. And I remember being in seasons of like discontentment, like, God, like, this isn't enough. Like, this isn't fun. Like, I have so many friends, some of my best friends, they don't go to church and they have the most fun, you know what I mean? And so I remember like always comparing myself to where everybody else was at. And like, this like being in middle school and high school was hard for me because like I was the girl, I never had a boyfriend throughout the whole high school. I mean, senior year, I had a little, situationship. But I wanted...
Not a situationship.
It was.
It was a situationship?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another podcast, another day.
Another day. Then, yeah, that was a long journey. But I... But yeah, so I just, throughout high school and middle school, like, I felt like I didn't know who I was. And I was looking for that in all the other things. And so I was on the youth leadership team in high school. And so I feel like that had a big role in that, like just staying rooted in God, in the church. But like during that time, I was also dealing with like rejection. Like I was the girl, like I never got asked to homecoming. I never got asked to prom. And people don't know how deeply that hurts. Like just seeing all your other friends have a prom date, have a homecoming date.
Well, pause. You did get
senior year.
Did get asked to go to homecoming by one boy.
That was senior year.
And you said, ew, no.
Mama, no. Not in a professional way. It wasn't a poster.
You said, ew, no.
I
He
don't
was too
remember.
short.
No, he texts me. You don't text nobody that. Like, I wanted the posters. I wanted all these things these girls had.
Okay.
So I remember being like, okay, God, like, if you love me, why don't I have all these things? Like, how come my friends have boyfriends and I don't have a boyfriend? And I just remember walking through that. And I had to come to a realization of, like, if God never gave me anything, like, is that enough? Is just him enough?
Oh,
And
that's so good. So say that again. If he'd never
if
given
God
you
plus
anything,
nothing equal, it doesn't equal everything, then is he enough? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, me plus God should equal everything. Like, I shouldn't need anything else. And that just wasn't the case for me. I'm like, yeah, no, God, you're not enough for me. I need more. Like, I want a boyfriend. I want all these things.
wow, you told God he wasn't enough for you?
Yeah, I had to come to
Wow.
that realization that he was not enough, because if he was enough, I wouldn't be. It's okay to want those things, but whenever, like, they're idols in your life, and Miss Tiffany actually had told me that, like, that's that one day she, like, came, she was like, hey, I just want to, like, let you know that you need to, like, I see it. Like, she saw me, and she didn't even see me every day. So she's like, you need to surrender that idolization.
That's
And
so good.
yeah, that I had to walk through surrendering all the idols I had in my life, and the idol of marriage, the idol of a boyfriend, the idol of wanting to be loved, the idol of being enough, and all those things.
Well, and look, so I recently this year had to surrender my idols. Y'all, you ever do like a health check? Like, I have to teach a message in a few weeks at our church, and it is such a great message, right? Because I did not do a health check on myself. Okay, like, I go to church. You know what I'm saying? I'm spiritually covered. I am kingdomly covered. Like, God is my God. You know, Jesus is my Messiah. He died on the cross for my sins so that I can be born again. Like, I'm blood bought. But baby, I did not realize the idols that I had in my life. Some of you would probably think my idol is money, and it is not. Money is extremely easy to make when you learn how to make it. It was not. My idols were my children, not my husband, not myself, not my cell phone, but my children. And I remember hearing, I think maybe Tiffany Montgomery said it or someone, where it says, your idols will fall before you. And I had a visualization of all of my children falling before me into the pits of hell. That right there, you can't unsee that. Like, you can't unsee that. And I didn't even make them idols on purpose, if I'm being honest with you guys. It just was that mama bear in me that I believed that I was a better protector for them than God was. I never told God he wasn't the better protector, but my actions did. My actions, anytime they would call, I would come running. I didn't lead them the way that they needed to be led. And so with that, they became my idols. I would watch Life 360. Soon as Atteya leave out the driveway, I say, call her, oh, you're going 90 miles an hour. You need to slow down. I watch all the kids' Life 360. Layla, you have frozen your Lifetime 360. Who knows how to manipulate that? Unfreeze it. Right. And then it got to the point where everything I did was just so surrounded around my kids. So one of the first things I did was I denounced it. I said, God, I denounce these idols in the name of Jesus. My children would not be my idols. I release them into your custody. You have full control, Father God. And no matter how hard I may try to fight back, it's like that horse that got that bit in their mouth and they constantly trying to run, but you got to pull them back to slow them down. God, I'm okay with being slowed down because I know your plan that you have for them is way better than my plan. And I think a lot of the times we trust God with the small things, but when it comes to the big things, we catch amnesia on who God really is. But I think the sooner we come to the realization that our God raised Jesus from the dead 3 days later, that's one of the most powerful things. That is the most powerful thing that you could ever read inside of the Bible. Yes, you heard about the paralytic. Yes, you heard about the blind man. Yes, you heard about leprosy. Yes, you heard about the blood issue. But raising a man from the dead, not once, but even twice, whenever Jesus had to go see Mary and Martha's brother, and he was dead for a few days. And because they believed, he was able to be awakened. And so I think that it's important for us to know that our children can become our idols if we're not careful. And you have to be okay. And this is what I had to learn, Tay. I had to be okay with telling y'all no.
No, you always told us no.
Not like this, though. I'm the queen of no now. Hey, Mom, can you go make groceries in the house? No. You're grown. DoorDash you something to eat. Hey, Mom, can you do this? No. You're grown. Hey, Mom, I want to go to Hawaii. Sounds like a great fun trip for you. Take it yourself. Right? And so I think that me and my husband both had to come to the realization that our children were our idols, and having them as our idols, we didn't realize how much destruction we was actually causing in y'all life. Like we were a part of that reason why you had anxiety. Because if we taught you how to compare yourself to the Word of God earlier, you wouldn't have had that anxiety. But we were so busy placing you guys as idols that we couldn't see what you guys really needed. And I think that that's huge. So I guess in regards to, just where you're at now, right? Like you done walked this out, you got a boyfriend, you're in real estate. Tell us about your real estate career and how is that going?
Yeah, so it's going. It's been a journey, definitely. I feel like it's crazy that I've been in real estate for, 5 years now? I turned 21 this year. So 6 years in November. But I've been a realtor for 3 of those years. Being a realtor has been a journey. It has its ups and downs. And I feel like the biggest thing I've learned is consistency, because it can be so easy to forget things or just want to be lazy, and you can't be lazy in real estate. So now I've been focusing on more so wholesaling and just being more consistent with that, and being consistent and doing the little things to lead up to the big deals. Not pushing off a contract till later this week, or pushing off calling this owner of a house I think could be a potential flip or for a future investor to the next week. But okay, I'm gonna do this now, to make this deal happen. I'm gonna put my best foot forward at this moment instead of just being lazy and pushing it off or pushing it to later.
And then you got people who say, oh, you're just trying to be like your mom. All you doing is following in her footsteps. She's making you do that. What are your thoughts about that?
I maybe when I was 15, maybe that was the thing. But it wasn't a more so say of I want to be like my mom. It's a more so thing of I want to be able to go on vacations. I want to be able to walk into Louis Vuitton and buy whatever I want. And logistically, it's not even a simple fact of I was just I'm going to get into real estate and that's it. I remember you were y'all can't get jobs. You have to be in real estate. And then there came a point where we were all no, Mom, I want to get a job. And you're okay, go get a job. And so I remember working at Maurice's, and I worked 4 hours a day making $20. And I'm yeah, no, this cannot pay my bills. This is not fun. I hate this. And so I remember you always taught us about the freedom of real estate and all the freedom it has. And until I closed my first big deal, I'm okay, I did this in a month and I made $7,000. And you know what I can do with $7,000? I pay my car note. I can invest. I don't have to, and this month of work, it wasn't even with a job, you work 40 hours a week, 40 times. That's about 160 hours a month. I probably did 8 hours of work total for this one deal. And so it's how can I keep making money and do the things I love? Because whenever we have these 9-to-5 jobs, we're so limited in what we can do. For instance, I'm witnessing right now with my boyfriend. I'm just quit your job and be a millionaire. Please. You can't take off these days. You only get 10 days a year. Who gives people 10 days a year to go on vacation?
I know, right?
That
I couldn't
crazy.
even believe it. We have the whole corporate setup going on at our company right now. And people get paid time off. I don't understand PTO. I don't know why that's important. I never had a PTO, okay? And I think maybe I'm grateful that I didn't have a PTO. And no offense to those of you who's out there who has PTO, because guess what? At the end of the day, you probably worked very hard and deserve it. But for me, I don't know how to turn that off. So why do I need paid time off? I want my time to be paid for every day, all day, no matter if I'm up and or down.
Yeah. And so just things like that. I'm like, yeah, no, maybe my mom has a point in this real estate stuff. Like currently my brother, he works 80 hours a week. I'm like, yeah, no, like you can be making, like, yes, it takes more work. Yes, it takes you putting the actions to the plan, but like all the freedom it entitles. And it's not just you, like all of your friends do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's the thing. In order to be my friend, you got to be an investor. It's just a part of the process. I don't have one friend that I call friend that is not an investor. If they are not an investor, what am I doing? Like, why would I eat and then not watch and then watch all my other friends starve? I don't believe in that. I believe that if we're all sitting at the table, we're putting in the work, then we all should eat. And so a lot of the times people become very selfish and stingy and all of those type of things. But even back to your brother, he chooses. He said, look, I choose this life. Is that not what he told you?
yeah.
How he said it? He was like,
I wanted, like, he's excited and thrilled. And like some people, that's just what they enjoy. Some people don't need to go on vacation.
that's right. Some people don't need to be an entrepreneur, right? Let me tell you something. Being an entrepreneur, you don't get paid first.
Yeah.
You are the last person. So I'm watching $1 million a year go out of my company, and I get paid nothing right now. Everything that we have, we put right back into our business for the team that we have. And I'm okay with that sacrifice right now because I believe that the reward is going to be greater at the end. And that's why I'm so adamant about making sure that we have the best people in place to make this happen, because I want to have $1 billion in assets under management. And in order to have that, you got to have the right infrastructure and the right people on the team. And so this past few years, I've been very intentional with, like, even to the point where I hired a coach where I spent $135,000 a year for this man to tell me who's an asset on my team and who's not. And he always tells me, forget about loyalty, right? When someone have a job to do, they'll be loyal to the job. And so I understand that now. At first, I thought it was cutthroat. I thought it was harsh. But then I started understanding loyalty can wear you down. Loyalty can burn you out. If that person don't have that set of skills on your team that they should, it will burn you out to the max and make you extremely frustrated and aggravated. And so I told myself this year, I am beyond loyalty. You're not loyal to me if I cannot pay you your check. So because I know that, I'm not about to put our loyalty on the line because it wouldn't even measure. But what I am going to put on the line is your work ethic, how you're performing and what you're doing. Because if I'm investing almost $1 million a year into the teams that we have, that is a lot of money going out this door for me to just be okay with mediocre. Like it's just not what it takes place. And I think you got to have that mindset as a business owner to be able to spot that and then be able to deal with it head on, you know?
Yeah.
So before we leave today, Atteya, is there anything you would like to tell the guests that's, going through, maybe what you went through, right? Being in someone's shadow and trying to find your own light and walking it out yourself.
Yeah. So my piece of advice would be one, to always remember that comparison is the thief of joy. So like God has you in the season you are for a specific reason. There's something he's pruning in you. There's something he's teaching you in this season. So it can get so caught up to be like, okay, like there's this other 20-year-old and they have all these 7 different businesses and I'm this 20-year-old and I'm just in real estate, And so then it's like taking all God has done in you and you're comparing it to where someone else is at. So like I would say to one, stop comparing yourself. Like you're where you're supposed to be. And also like once you get consistent, then everything in life will be like, it just takes a daily decision of I'm going to get up, be consistent, even if that's running my numbers every single day on a new house. Like if you like get lazy and you're like, I'm just going to do this once a week, then one day it's just going to be like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. And so I would say consistency and stay consistent and stop comparing yourself and just believe you could do it. Like I always say this, God says the earth is his footstool. So it's his dream for you to own 1 million properties. It's his dream for you to live life abundantly. So don't just settle and stay where you're at.
That's so good. And look, I have nothing to add to that, guys. This has been another great episode of the Property Challenge podcast. Look, take your children, invest into them, pour into them, bring them a part of the process. And if you like this episode, go share it with 3 people. We also have a protege community where we have conversations like this every single week, every single day. Join our protege community. All the details is below. I'll see you next week on another episode of the Property Challenge podcast. Peace. I'm out.